Away from home, into a land unknown, far from everything you know, from everyone you know, to a place you know not, a people you know not, a language you can't find meaning to. That was the predicament they found themselves in, a land far away, away from everything they knew, all the way from the comfort of their homes to this, from a free man to a slave. East African slavery, the daunting experience and torture that could even kill. Many died in these waters, many never returned home, many remained slaves forever, but few were lucky enough. Today, the descendants of the slaves still live here in the Kenyan coast, those who were lucky to be freed early enough and not shipped abroad, where the future was blurry, where there was not possibility of freedom. Freetown and Rabai became the homes of refuge, an eventual home of freedom for those who would have been slaves but never became slaves. They found a new home. Freetown.
Trying to gather stories about the history and the present of Freetown. It is an amazing town, one of the places with great historical privilege, and one of the places, one of the great destinations in the history of Coast Province, and not only Coast Province, but in the country as well as the world at large. We're walking on this road, Zualangombe, which is a son of the cow in Giriama, which is yeah.
You cannot talk about the history of slavery without talking about the church. The church came to become home to many of these freed masses who had nowhere to go. These people eventually came to be known as Wamisheni. They became the teachers, they became the pastors, and they became the catechists.
It was built in 1889, a very strong heritage and a very long time ago. This was the first place where these slaves came and lived around here. In this community, there were homes, there were houses, there was a school on the other side, and there was the settlements across the road on the other side where we have seen the bell. It was where the bell was rung and people would run to church and to school and everything. It was generally a whole lifestyle. A people with a great heritage it was, and this is historical.
Much as this is such a strong cultural and historical heritage, much of the stories go down the drain. Many are forgotten and many are never told. In fact, the locals would rather not talk about the stories. Some of the monuments
We're now standing at the bell tower, which was one of the very historical monuments, one of the places where the people used to, and it was a very functional bell. The people of here would hear the bell daily. It would have different sounds. Sometimes when it's time to go to church, it would have a different sound. When it's time to go to school, it would have a different sound. And when it was time to alert people for security purposes, when sometimes the Arabs were coming, it also had a different kind of sound. Today it is a historical monument that has been stored right here, and there's one also at the museums and at the archives to preserve history. The sad part about it is even down at the ground right now, it is surrounded by feces, yani mud.
story of descendants of freed slaves keeps changing, and actually it could actually be forgotten. This was initially a good thing, but at the moment the historical privilege is going down the drain. The main quest for this community is to be able to get an identity card that gives them a name that shows exactly who they are. At the moment they have to merge with the rest of the community.
We are standing on clear ground, one of the places that one of the schools that were all those many years, one of the places, one of the schools that studying from here. We are standing on the ground, and this 200 years later is one of the very first schools to come into Mombasa as well as Kenya. It is said that the people of Freetown are from various places, name it, various places in the world. Some are Kambas, some are from Nyasaland, and some are from Tanzania. The diversity in Freetown is so wide that it does not leave room for people to hold a past cultural identity. It is said that the people here have to get an ID and identify with the locals here, but the main quest is to search and to see the possibilities of having an identity card that is called the Fia people, because the diversity right here says a lot of things.
The story of slavery might have been too painful for many people to remember, or maybe it was one that was full of shame that many preferred to forget about it altogether. It explains why many wanted to merge into the communities and completely forget about the history of slavery. However, sometimes things like identity should not be lost. Where did these people come from? Where did we come from? Where did we emerge? Is a question that many young children will eventually ask at one point in their life. So the story of slavery, much as it is sad and daunting to many, it has to be remembered. It has to be part of our history. It has to be taught to these children